For those who say big-time sports leagues waste their money on ridiculous items that in the end only help to drive up the ticket cost to Joe and Jane Beer Can, their answer would be, how dare you question how the league is doing everything to ensure the game is fair, Take the $20 million the NFL will likely spend in total on something so ridiculous as air pressure in footballs. Then ask yourself about their wisdom when you pony up for that $25 beer at the next game. Deflategate far from over, my friends. Let us then drop back and throw the bomb. Welcome back the man who invented the concept of talking about sports business, still smarting from the Super Bowl prediction he can barely recall. The sports professor, Rick Horrow, joins us once again. All right, Professor, don't worry about it. I'll let you get a chance in here, but let's get to business. A federal appeals panel in New York.
Jane Beer Can? Jane Beer Can?
Jane
really?
And Joe Beer Can. You know where it is. Matter of fact, you used to drink with those guys. I have pictures. A federal appeals panel in New York asking NFL attorneys why the simple act of deflating footballs warrants a 4-game suspension on Tom Brady. Why is this thing not over yet, Rick?
Well, it's not over because Roger Goodell feels the, I think, appropriate need to go as far as he can to push to establish the power of commissioners, which is kind of what every other league wants him to do. The decision may not have been right subjectively, but the issue is process. Does the league have an opportunity to create its own process? And they're going to push as hard as they can until an appeals court makes the decision that they did something wrong or not so they can correct it in the future. It's not as much about the facts of this case as it is about the process. The hearing last year was about the facts of the case.
See, I guess that's where a lot of people kind of ask why we're doing this, Rick, because here we're talking about NFL quarterbacks. They deflate, they inflate. Come on, this has been going on now for decades. They don't actually have them. The players do it. We all get that. And people are saying, aren't there other things that the NFL could spend their time and money on going after that are much more important than a couple of pounds of air?
Well, you might have been able to ask that question last year, but now that the NFL has made the decision to suspend Tom Brady, get it overturned, and all of the agita that went on last year, I think this issue is easier to understand because the league has to say, we're going to push as far as we can to protect the integrity of the commissioner's office. You can like Roger Goodell. You don't have to like Roger Goodell. The bottom line is you understand that this was a collectively bargained process, and the commissioner's office for years has been defined as a group that could create what they think is the best interest of the game in any sport. And that's what the appellate court is deciding.
Do you think, your own personal opinion, at the end of the day when this thing comes to a head, that Tom Brady will serve any time?
My guess is probably not, but that's not for me to decide right now. I think at the end of the day, if the overturned decision stands next September, then the league has no choice but to enforce that suspension, and then it may go to another court, may actually also be remanded. So I know one thing, the lawyers are making a lot of money out of this.
There you go. That's always the important part here. Here's something else when it comes down to decisions. 6 months before the Summer Olympic Games in Rio, we are talking about the waterways that are going to be competed in by the athletes. TV sets coming out of the water, garden chairs, refrigerators, dead animals, juice boxes, used condoms, gunk. This is ridiculous. This is dangerous, Rick. And the question now is being asked, does it not make sense for the United States and other countries who've called for it to boycott these games? Because this is not as it was promised.
Well, there was a lot of discussions about boycotting because of the Zika virus, which the health authorities now have about 5 months to try to resolve. I think boycotting will be fairly extreme, but I do think that it is time for the entities relative to sailing and water-related sports to take this very seriously because the deadline is fast approaching, and the USOC is saying it's up to individual athletes on the Zika issue to make their own health decisions. I do think it is really important for transparency's sake for the Olympic organizations to do whatever they can right now to make it as safe as they possibly can for the Olympians. Hopefully it's not too late.
Look at that. We agree on something frightening indeed. 60 seconds. Jerry Jones is building a brand new project, the Ford Center at the Star. It's going to be the training facilities, hotels, convention centers, vacation sites. Isn't this where we're heading now, where a lot of these big-pocketed teams, where they can, and the Jerry Jones can and other places, are going to create vacation destinations instead of just training facilities to basically make as much money as they can?
Well, yeah, but you know, so does every other developer, and so does every other
Sure.
business. So the idea is to exploit and expand the brand as much as possible. And the Cowboys have been one of the most prolific brands in the history of sports. That's why that franchise is worth $4 billion. If Berliner had a brand that was worth $4 billion, you would create a vacation destination too.
How do you know I don't?
I haven't seen it. I haven't been invited. I don't know where it would be.
Well, you haven't been invited. Come on, that's the reason why you don't know, is because you haven't earned membership yet, Horrow.
Only imagine where your vacation destination.
You're never going to know because, hey, yeah, by the way, what was it about that Super Bowl prediction again? Yeah, okay.
I was only off by 42 points.
Yeah, I just want to make that point. Okay, it's good to always know. Professor, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Tell us how you feel about this because, hey, how about this? Should the United States boycott the Summer Olympic Games if they don't clean up these filthy waterways that our athletes are going to be participating in? It's disgusting. Tell us, write us, Facebook, Twitter, let us know. And if you're lucky, especially on Twitter, I'll come back and I'll even answer you back. We choose to end this week on something other than political nonsense, much like someone once chose to go to the moon. Make the decision. We're going to do it next, right here on The Hardline.